Good. Thanks, David. So it's nice to be back on the Google Hangout. And last time when I was here, we spoke about sandboxes. And one of the things I had mentioned is, one of the things that we are working on is adding more region supports to to the sandbox environment.
Vishal, can you talk
Uh,
a little bit louder?
and today I'm here to give the good news that we have added support for Australia and UK region in the sandbox. So I'll just directly kick off into the demo mode to show how you can actually access the global sandbox and how you can create the sandboxes. So um, you know you are on the portal as soon as you sign in. So as soon as you create an account or you sign in, as you remember, we automatically provision a US sandbox for you. So now I can access the sandbox page from either the profile dropdown or from the um, tools dropdown. So we have made it easy for you to actually discover the Manage Sandbox page. So this is the new Manage Sandbox page now. If you would remember from the previous page, there are a lot of additions to this page. One of the things that we have done is, you can actually go ahead and create a sandbox for the region of your choice. So let me go ahead and create a sandbox for Australia. This will just take a couple of seconds to create the sandbox. So,
Vishal, this is all live in production right now, correct?
this is all live and in production, yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Because if you look, I'm on developer.intuit.com. So, we just created a Australia sandbox company. This is the company ID. Merchant ID, I'll get back to this in just a moment. We provide a data set out of the box for party planning services, and I'll also talk about what data is contained in here. So if I click on go to company, it will actually take me to that sandbox company. So this is my Australia sandbox company, and it has all the data, predefined data that we provide you with, and all the it's basically a replica of the production QuickBooks Online company. So I can go ahead and create a UK company. Actually, if I want, I can even create another United States company if I want to. But however, we restrict the number of allocated companies to 3. So you can have up to only 3 sandbox companies. So our recommendation is choose wisely what you choose those 2 additional companies for. Now, you can go ahead and create 2 additional United States companies, or 2 additional Australia, or 1 Australia, 1 UK. It's really in your hands, but please choose wisely, because at this moment we do not provide the capability to delete the sandbox. So why don't I go ahead and create a United Kingdom sandbox company?
And well, that's creating Vishal. When you said you don't provide the
Yeah.
ability to delete the sandbox, is that just global sandboxes or US sandboxes too?
US sandboxes too. At this moment, we do not provide the capability to delete any sandbox company. So
Across the board. Okay, thank you.
in future, when we have that functionality provided, what we'll do is we'll provide some kind of a drop down or an action over here, which will say delete, basically, which will delete that sandbox company, and it will reduce your count by 1, so that you can go ahead and create another sandbox company. So this will then automatically get enabled, and it will allow you to create 1 more sandbox company. Um, so we just created the UK sandbox company. If I go ahead and click on it, it actually takes me to my UK sandbox company, with some predefined data set. It's a replica of the production environment again. At this moment, I want to talk about one of the gotchas which we are talking over here. Um, you We always log you when you click on go to company. always log created company or the last logged in company. So for example, we just created the UK company. If I try to hit go to company over here, it will actually take me back to the UK company. It's not taking me to the Australia company because at a given time you can be logged into only one QuickBooks Online company. So if you want to switch companies, there are multiple ways you can do it. One is, you can click over here, switch company, and it will bring up. I have some additional companies in the background. That's why those are showing up, but it will only show up the three that you have basically. Um, so let me go ahead and select my US one. So now or the other thing you can do is if you want to have both the instances of your sandbox companies open at the same time, you can right click on it and open it in an incognito window or a private browser, and when it takes you there, what you can do is you can use your same credentials that you use to log into the developer portal to log into the company. So, I'll just select my company over here.
And Vishal, just to clarify something, when you talked about going incognito, is there some advantage to using the sandbox in incognito mode or not? Or
so the advantage of it's basically if you as a developer want to have both your Australia and UK company open at the same time, you can only do that by opening one of the companies in incognito window.
Oh, got it. That's why if you want to do more than one at the same time. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's why if right now, as you see, I'm logged into a US company, right? If I click on go to company over here, it's actually gonna take me to the US company, even though I clicked on the Australia company. And the reason being is that you can the go to company always takes you to the last logged in company. So the way to get around that is either by hitting switch company from here, or via opening it up in incognito window. Some other gotchas I want to bring out is FAQ is basically for global regions, payments API is not supported, so we do not provide a payment sandbox account for you. In the case of US, payments API is supported for US, so that's why we automatically associate your QuickBooks Online company with a payment sandbox company. However, in the case of Australia and UK, that is not the case. So, basically, the payments API is not supported, so that's why you do not get a payment sandbox. Another thing I want to talk about is, let me go to the documentation. What kind of data we provide for Australia and the UK sandbox region. So for Australia, similar to US, we provide a lot of transactions, customers, vendors. We do not provide employees because this is a party planning services. So, and for US, we provided 4 employees because it was a construction trade company. We provide, bunch of chart of accounts as well. And similarly for UK, this is the predefined data that we come out with. Going down the list.
Vishal?
Yes.
Just so you envision a future where, like, if I'm in the AU, I could choose between the construction data set or the party planning data set, or maybe a restaurant set, depending on what my app's leaning towards.
Yeah, so basically, we have it on the roadmap to provide a capability for developers to choose which data set they want to have their sandbox created with. At this moment, we wanted to get the region out in itself so that developers don't have to reach out to us every time, they want to develop for Australia or UK. So, the next announcement will be where we allow multiple different data sets that developers can choose from to be created by default. Actually, in fact, we have developers who have requested they don't want any default data in there. So, we'll provide a way to have a, empty sandbox created with no default data in there. But, that is on the roadmap. So, um, scrolling down, one another thing, payroll is not supported on any of the regions. So if you try to turn on payroll, you will not be able to create turn on payroll. We are actively working on providing a payroll sandbox as well. That is also on the roadmap. So hopefully in the future we should be able to get that going as well. Other than that, this documentation basically goes over the, launching sandbox, creating sandbox, etc. And I'll let you guys read this on your at your leisure. But those were some of the FAQs I wanted to call out. Um, so at another thing, so what I want to quickly do is I just want to go over our time tracking sample app and just give you like a high level overview of how these sandboxes will show up, when you are doing connect to QuickBooks basically. So as you remember, we have the time tracking sample app, and I'm just gonna run that time tracking sample app now. This will just take a couple of seconds to get it going. Okay, so we are ready. Let me. So this is the time tracking sample app. Let me connect my app with my one of my sandbox accounts. So when I click connect to QuickBooks, it will show me my three sandbox companies that I have, the two that we just created and the one that is created by default. Please note that if you want the sandbox companies to show up, you have to use the dev tokens when you have created your app on the portal. So let me go ahead and select, the AU company. So let me sync employees with the AU company. Okay, so as you can see, the employee was synced. Let me just go and view this in my AU company.
Vishal, I had a question with the when it comes to the dev tokens. Do I get separate dev tokens for each region that I'm developing in, or do I have one set of development tokens and that works for all my regions?
It's one set of tokens that works for all your regions. So that's why when we went through the connect to QuickBooks flow, it showed you all the three regions, right?
Okay, so I don't have to create a new app for each region I want to build an app for. I can just create one app and then go from there. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So we created two employees over here, Brian Ruff, Paul Simmons, and when I go in here, as you can see, it created those two in my Australia Sandbox account. So I just wanted to give you guys a high level view of how the sandbox works and how it will show up when you are developing. At this moment, Vamsi, if you want to add anything to what we just went over.
I think you covered pretty much everything, Vishal.
Okay. If anyone has any, questions, thoughts, I'll be more than happy to answer.
No, I just wanted to say it looks good, actually. Really appreciate the international stuff that y'all added, and I can't wait to start using it.
Awesome.
Yep. So yeah, looking forward to it. So the QBO UK stuff is one of our big pain points at the moment, trying to parse the reports from there. So this will definitely speed up that process. So I appreciate it.
Well, that's really good. And in future, if you have any feedback of how your experience was working with the sandbox environment, we would definitely like to hear, and how we can improve it. That's something that we are in a constant lookout for.
I'm sorry, I didn't actually hear earlier. I came in a little bit late. Did y'all add the ability to restart the sandbox environment to the current?
So we don't have reset and delete yet.
Okay.
That is something we are actively working to get it going. I mean, we have had a lot of developers ask for that same thing, and
right.
It is on top of our list, basically.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I was just wondering. I appreciate it.
And just to give everyone a view into the roadmap, we have released Australia and UK, and by end of next month, we hope to have Canada and India as well in the region supported, and you'll be able to create up to 5 or 6 sandbox accounts across different regions. So that is upcoming. So stay tuned.
If any of you are just viewing and you haven't joined, you can actually ask questions through a questions portal for Q&A in the view screen that you're currently viewing the video in. But there's none yet, Vishal. So.
Okay.
So just one call out at this moment, so Vishal showed the connect to QuickBooks screen, right? And you actually saw all the 3 companies show up that he had, which were the sandbox companies. They actually pop up because of the data source that we actually select when we start the OAuth process. So on Sandbox, you will only see the companies that with the data source that you actually ask for. For example, if you have asked for payments data source or QuickBooks and payments data source, then you will get only the companies which are enabled for payments. In this case, only the US companies will show up. This is a slight deviation from what we do in production, wherein we show you the companies which are not set up for payments, but there's an option to enable payments. But in Sandbox, that's not the case. So just a call out.
Hey, Stephanie. You usually have questions or thoughts about Sandbox?
I haven't been using the Sandbox lately. We're off on a different project now, and I stopped using it. Why did I stop using it? I think Jason had some thoughts about that. Was Jason on? Is that Jason there?
Yep, that's me. The Sandbox is great, and I've been using it a little bit. But the biggest thing, of course, is the transactions kind of rolling forward. You either have to manage that manually or and keep that updated, which you might as well just have like a QuickBooks file or something like that and upload it. Or since you can do memorized transactions on the desktop and then you can upload it, I mean, for the most part, it actually works. It works really well. So.
Yeah, I was using it. The issue was there was an issue in the data. That's what it was. When we were doing some development, there was some bad data in the Sandbox, and I can't remember the details, but that was causing some errors. And when we tracked it down, it was because the data may have been automatically generated or some. I can't remember what it was, but so then we just started signing up for trials and using the live system.
So Stephanie, would you be able to email me or David with the data that caused you the problem so that we can correct it?
I'm positive I don't have that anymore. I mean, this was, you know, it was 6 months ago or something. I don't have that. Sorry, but if I, you know, if we run into something like that again, I'll definitely do that.
Thank you.
Just of note, I've not run into any issues lately. I remember some of our unit tests were failing whenever we'd run them against the sandbox back in October or so, or November, I think it was, whenever it was released. But I haven't seen any problems since then. So
yeah, I suspect it's because it was the early days of the sandbox, like Jason is saying.
So Jason, just a quick question. You have your automated integration test running with the sandbox environment, or just the unit test?
Just unit tests. Just the integration tests is that's a little bit much for us to keep track of. So with the sandbox at the moment, since we can't reset the sandbox, so it kind of gets kind of rough to do integration tests. But we can do simple unit tests kind of against it, which we'll turn on every once in a while whenever we're doing a build and stuff. So we're not doing anything with transactions or customer data, so we're just pulling reports and parsing them. So it's not terrible. It's not kind of crazy. We just we just basically ran pull a report from like sometime last year, essentially, and make sure all of our tests are working. So
no, it's good actually. I mean, it's always nice to hear that developers are using it the way we want to use developers to use it for unit testing and all of that. So it's nice to hear that.
It's we're actually getting a lot of requests for our API at the moment, so we're slowly building out our sandbox, kind of like so we're running into all the same problems that you're kind of running into. And so it's kind of interesting, kind of seeing that from the other side now. So
yeah, exactly.
And sandboxes are great, especially for seeing what the report's going to look like, seeing what the calls are going to look like, what live data kind of looks like without having to have live data. So it's been very helpful, especially with some of our newer features. So.
Really glad to hear that.
Still no questions from anybody that's viewing, but feel free. Actually, nobody's ever actually used the question and answer portion from the viewing perspective, so I'm kind of excited if somebody actually tries it one of these days. But still no outside questions, Vishal.
I think we still have more room. Jump in and talk to everybody.
Exactly, yeah, so I can take up to 10 in the Hangout. Yep. I just had to make sure Vishal and Vamshi got in first.
Right.
I'm trying to think. What other questions I may have heard about Hangouts before? Definitely global. The one question is always about multiple people in the sandbox. People are always asking about that.
I have a question actually about the global stuff. So global-wise, like QBO-wise, we've gotten some people in Germany and a couple of other parts of the world. I'm assuming everyone in Europe is using QBO UK, or are they using international versions? Or because if you're using QBO, you really don't know what version you're using, and so it's hard to get. We're just talking to the franchise at the moment. We don't actually talk to people who are using QBO.
Jason, if you go to QuickBooks.com,
right,
and then scroll to the very, very, very bottom,
right,
there's an option for region.
Right.
And then you can basically go to the QuickBooks for every single country. Where's it at? Oh my goodness. Okay, they moved it on me. All right, so I'm on QuickBooks.com. Let me. I might be on some Google referral site. Let me just backspace it off and get to the main page. I'm trying to hand out knowledge. That seems impossible right now.
Actually, there is a select a country on the bottommost on QuickBooks.com.
Yeah, I think I got mine sorted up by some Google ad or something, and it didn't have their select a country. Yes. So when you choose select a country, you can go to that country's local QBO page.
Right.
And then you could sign up from there. So if we don't have a local page for, let's say, Germany, who knows which one they're using?
Right, and that's kind of what I was kind of getting to. I was wondering what, I mean, we're not talking to the franchisees or the people who are actually using the QuickBooks files. We're just talking to the franchisors. They're just kind of making rough assumptions. I'm assuming y'all are directing people based off IP and global positions and stuff to the different sites. Just in general, like if I just picked anywhere Europe, would they be kind of going to the international version, or would they be going to the UK version, just on average?
That I don't know. I've never heard that. I have not seen. Do you guys happen to know?
No, I haven't seen it myself too.
We can get back to you, Jason, on that.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, I was just wondering.
Doing from our side with the because we used to have a V2 API, and that wouldn't work with global versions of QBO. We would block developers from connecting their app to global versions.
Right.
So we do have some checks and balances in there because it was definitely more of the API just wasn't designed to support that.
Right.
People were getting in situations like that. But I've seen a lot of situations where people in Canada will sign up for the US version because of X thing, whatever it might be. Or I remember the desktop got days, like people in Canada would buy the desktop US version because they wanted some feature or something. So it's not unheard of, but I don't know what the trend is per se.
Right.
Because that would be interesting where, you know.
It was interesting, actually. The very first international companies we connected to were actually Indonesia and the Pacific Isles. And then we went Australia and Canada, because Australia and Canada were actually almost exactly the same. And then actually it was like Hong Kong, Singapore, and I think India was in there also. And those were just requests that we got. So, and you know, the reports lay out differently, but for the most part, all the API calls worked exactly the same. It was actually UK that we ran into issues finally. So it's going to be really nice to have the international UK file in the sandbox, that is. Anyway, I'm going to jump off to lunch. Good job, guys, and I can't wait to start using it. Thanks.
Thanks, Jason.
So Vishal, speaking of countries, so right now we are supporting UK and Australia. Is the Indian version next for as far as sandboxes go?
So
Canada
and India. Canada and India.
Okay.
So that should be coming up very, very soon.
Okay. And then I'm assuming we get better and better at this. So as soon as we release QuickBooks in a region, we'll be able to pump out a sandbox for that region. You know, right behind.
Exactly.
It. It feels like we're getting. It took us a long time to get sandbox number 1 out, but then to get the global support for 2 sandboxes was a little bit like half the time. So it should be.
Yeah. It's the first hurdle that always takes the most time, right? Once that is done, you know, it becomes very easy to add new pieces, and you know, that's why I said Canada, India are very, very soon. You know, we are really pushing for that right now. And then after that, you know, reset, and it's the top priority basically to get the reset going for sandboxes. I mean, you know, it just doesn't make sense to have a sandbox without a reset functionality.
Well, can you speak up a little bit louder, Vishal? It's a little bit hard to hear you.
Yeah. So we should like, you know, having a SaaS environment without is something that, you know, it will part of sandbox environment is the reset functionality, and you know, that is something that is on the top of the list.
Great. If there's anything in the chat, I'm trying to think if anybody else has. I'm trying, just like using my brain and just scrubbing it like for other sandbox questions that I've heard. I think you've covered most of them. Oh, I remember. I think Stephanie had, but I think we already addressed it or found it. Like something like the sandbox itself just had kind of invalid data in it, and that was making, you know, a developer a little on the crazy side because the data itself was just like somebody put in bad QuickBooks data, and it just made that, it made the calls look really strange, and then you kind of go crazy when you go and make the call with a real customer's data. I think that happened once. I think that happened to Stephanie, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. And we talked about that just a few minutes ago. I think it may have been because the sandbox was fairly new at that point, but I don't know. I don't have that data still. I couldn't run a test because I just didn't save it. Instead, I went to I created a trial and started testing on a trial. Know what I mean?
Yeah. I had a question about trying to wrap my head around where you guys are headed directionally, Vishal and Vamsi, with the so if you think about the product development cycle, right? So developers in the developer sandbox, development keys, that all makes a lot of sense. But then you're not, and then obviously you're live, right, with production and production keys, and real customers are using it. But you kind of have that gray area where it needs to go to QA, and you want to kind of use your production keys. Do you guys have any where you could get a sandbox that's for sandbox that connects to production keys, or where you guys headed for that next phase of developers need the testing, or a developer staff or support staff that might need a sandbox, but they can't really be testing something that a developer is mucking around with, right? So just kind of wondering where you guys are headed on that.
Yeah, David. On a similar thought, I had requests where basically developers were like, we want an environment where we can just our people can just use it for demo purposes, right? Or we are going to a conference and we want to talk to QuickBooks, but we want an environment for that. So we have heard a lot of thoughts around that, and to be very honest, at this moment, right, in our road, if you talk about just purely from a roadmap perspective, there are so many things that we want to finish up on the sandbox itself before we tackle these scenarios, because there's always the option of creating QBO trial companies. If you want to work with the production environment, I mean, it's not the best way to do it, but there is always that option. But from a development perspective, we don't want developers, creating trial companies, and then that company expires, and then they reach out to us again saying, can you, review our trial account, etc., etc. So, the first goal is to get the whole sandbox environment fully baked across different regions with some of the key features that we want to provide. Start thinking about, okay, we covered the whole sandbox. Now, what's the next thing?
Got it. Yeah, and I think I have a solution for those people that want demo accounts or accounts for their support staff and sales staff. I always advise them just to go in and sign up as a QuickBooks Pro Advisor for QuickBooks Online, get certified in that, and then you get a free QuickBooks Online subscription. But then not only that, you're certified. And some of the top apps with the best reviews, they have their support staff all certified as QuickBooks Pro Advisors. So that's a way to there. I think the only tricky one we're not really solving for very well is definitely the QA type situation. Because developer, I mean, how does QA make a pass if the developer is monkeying, the code still? It's that next level of build, in the build process. We'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, at the end of the day, our goal is to, have a complete end-to-end, platform developer environment for our developers, and that is what we will definitely be shooting for. And Sandbox is the first step in getting there.
Oh, it looks like Matt asked a question in the chat here, but I think you talked about this a little bit. He may have missed it, about update on resetting sandboxes, if you could cover that again.
Yeah, so at this moment we don't have the update and reset functionality yet. However, with the global sandbox, let me share my screen again, just so that I can go back to that page and show the page. So what we have done is we have provided a way for you to add more companies, so you can have up to 3 companies, sandbox companies, across different regions that you want. So at least that should alleviate some of the problems that you have right now. But reset and delete is really at the top of the backlog, and we are working really hard to get that going. And every day I'm on Vamsi's desk talking about how can we make it happen soon, how can we make it happen soon. So
He's giving me a hard time.
yeah. So that is something is definitely on the roadmap.
Cool, thanks.
Cool. See if anybody else has any questions. If not, we could actually kind of stray a little bit away from sandboxes if we want. If nobody else has anything sandbox related, I know one thing Vishal's done on the past, many of you may have known, he's really looked into SDKs, and that's really a passion of his, is what SDKs we offer. And so I don't know if Vishal, if you want to chat informally about that. I know that you really did a lot of deep diving on what SDKs people are using, the importance of us having more SDKs.
I mean, I'm a I'm a big fan of the SDKs. I think more than anything, the one thing that makes a developer's life easy is the other SDKs. I mean, it really takes care of all the boilerplate code that you have to write, on your own, and it's basically a download rather than trying to spend time and each developer working with our platform trying to solve the same problem over and over again. I'll just do a quick screen share again. Just one sec, and I'll just go over our offering for the SDK. If you would have noticed, we changed our layout a little bit, and now you can see the tools section up here that lists out what kind of tools we provide for each language. So let's start with .NET, right? For .NET, we have our .NET V3 SDK, and we also have some samples that have been contributed by our third-party developers. Actually, .NET is the second in the list with respect to developer usage among on the Intuit Developer platform, basically. So, the first one is Java. Java is the most widely used language on our platform, followed by .NET, and then I think it's a tie between. No, the third one is PHP, and then I think it's a tie between Python and Rails. So definitely, we do provide SDKs across these languages. So we have a Java SDK as well, followed by our officially supported PHP SDK. And then for Node, we have a third-party contributed Node SDK, which has a lot of usage, and it's hosted on NPM. As well as for Ruby, we have a third-party contributed Ruby SDK. So, we do provide a wide range of SDKs, and the big advantage to you as a developer is, you download the DLLs or the jar files or the package and just plug it into your project, and all you need to do is now write the code to actually use the SDK. I mean, you have to write absolutely no code to actually talk to our platform. The SDK does that for you. So, I'm a big proponent of SDKs. If we look at the industry, all the big platforms, they provide SDKs, and we at Intuit Developer also give a lot of value to the SDKs. I can answer any questions if anyone might have on the SDKs.
The question that I normally bring up is whether or not there'll be issue tracking for SDKs. Sort of like how GitHub does issue tracking. That way we can create issues or search for issues for our SDK to know if something's a known issue, so that way we don't submit support tickets for things that are already known, or whether there'd be ways to fork the SDK so that way we could fix it ourselves and then submit it so other people could use fixed versions, or merge forks into the main branch if we fix issues, things like that.
Yeah, no, that's a very good question, Matt. And what we are right now, what we are planning to do is our SDKs are not you don't get the source code for the SDKs, and we are actually in the process of making the code available on our GitHub repository to you. So we hope to do that pretty soon, and once we have that, you should be able to do what you just asked for, is putting in issues, and if you want to take the source code and use it for debugging, or provide a fix to us. I think definitely that is something that we will be doing that. But in the meantime, what you can always do is you can always go to our forum, and actually I was just talking to our support team yesterday about having a section just dedicated to SDKs on our forum, so that it becomes for you easy for you to look for issues, or submit a new issue and look at past replies. So definitely, that those are the two things that we will be doing in the very near future.
Thank you.
David, do you see any questions on the other forum?
Yeah, no external questions at all yet.
I really thought this time, we would get an external question.
Well, maybe you've explained it too well, Vishal. Maybe it was just explained it well. So I think if there's no other questions, I mean, we obviously tried to dedicate the first hour to sandboxes. So if we want, we could open up the floor to anything. Any other questions? Vishal and Vamsi, you can hang around still if you'd want for the other hour. You can leave if you have other things to do. I know a lot of people are ready for the 3-day weekend, so if that's where you're headed to, definitely take advantage of that. But the floor is free for all topics now, just like a normal hangout for the second hour.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to actually stop the broadcast today and just save this. So it's going to stop the broadcast. Actually, I'm just going to leave the broadcast run, and it'll just record the rest. I never know where I should clip it at, so we'll just record everything. So,
okay.
Thank you very much, Vishal, and thank you, Vamsi.
Thank you, David. Thank you for having us. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye. So I have a question about support tickets. Is there a way to close a support ticket you open on accident? I may have done that earlier this week, and then couldn't find a way to close it. So,
if William was here, he would know.
Got it.
You could just
submit a support ticket about it.
Yeah. Create another support ticket saying, "Please close this accidental support ticket." No. I think if you view the support ticket inside the dev portal, you can put comments on it, right?
That's what I've done in the past, is I've put a comment saying, oops, sorry, don't need this after all.
Where's
but I
the
think
comment at?
Are you in the support ticket itself? Did you open it?
Yeah.
I can't remember where it is. Maybe towards the bottom of the page?
I only see reply by email, and that was only after I got a response.
Are you in the actual support
ticket? Yes.
center? Okay.
I think so. I'm in my support tickets, and then I clicked one of my cases.
Okay, yeah. Let me go look.
Okay. I felt kind of, I knew I was wasting somebody's time because I figured it out, but I had accidentally hit send. Like, it wasn't even a complete ticket. Like half of a ticket, and I figured it out, and then which was the other thing is that when, I don't know if you've run into it, but you get 500s when you try and hit reports that, for example, if you don't have inventory tracking on and you try to hit the inventory evaluation summary report, you get a 500 back, which seems kind of weird that you get a 500 for,
Yeah.
instead of like an unsupported, or I don't know what you would send back, maybe a 403, but
You know what? You're right. I don't see. You used to be able to add a comment, and
yeah,
I don't see that anymore. So what about responding to the email?
right. But then they have to send the email first, right? So like I wanted to close it before they even responded. I knew I was like it was a mistake on my part, and I just couldn't do it. So.
Paste your ticket in, and I'll just put it on the HipChat, and one of those guys will just close it out.
Oh no, I mean I already took care of it. I just was trying to see if in the future, if it happens again, which hopefully it doesn't, I just wanted to know if there was a way I could take care of it, and I just haven't seen a way to do it. So.
Like an undo button or delete ticket or
like just close ticket, yeah. So
I'm just, when you submit a ticket, you get an email notifying you of the ticket, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if you respond to that. I'm just trying to find one. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
Yeah. Okay, your support case has been received. Yeah, I don't know. Because it doesn't say, write your comments above this and reply. You know what I mean? The way some support systems do. So I don't know. That's a good point. They got rid of the comment area.
Yeah, that's a shame because lots of times you find out more information after you submit the ticket too.
Exactly. Yep.
And I think that's like, if I understand, maybe one of the future Hangouts I'll try to bring in the product manager for the actual developer site itself, right? And kind of talk about that a little bit because they used to be there, and that's my understanding. They went away, and you can't see that history, that chat history that was kind of, I mean, if you want to think of the comment section as a chat history, that was kind of, it was really convenient to have in there. So what did you guys think about doing this as a format and having a guest like this? A little bit different?
Yeah, we did that for a while before, right?
I've done a couple here and there. Yeah, but now I actually have solid, like the next 4 weeks are booked. And I have maybe the next 4 after that booked. So it's kind of a bigger effort now that the recording and I get the logistics down. And so now it's just a matter of, bringing people in on a regular basis every week. So I think next week Jared's going to come on and talk about the new status dashboard. The week after that, Ronnie and Kevin, I don't know if Ronnie's going to make it. He actually might be on vacation that day. But if Kevin's going to come on, we're going to be talking about all the improvements to the new apps.com. So like the new search obviously rolled out. Everybody's seen that. And then I think the week after that, Joe Dennis and some members of the It Does It team, which is now going to be Intuit App Connect, and they'll be talking about that product. So the next 4 are lined up, and I even have 3 QBO product managers. So not even on the dev team, QBO product managers that are going to come and be guests. So one's about custom fields, which you guys are always beating me up on. Hopefully one inventory guy, and then the other one, I'm trying to get. So we have kind of that Evernote model for QBO now. It's very, very early, but you can get a desktop client for a Mac and a desktop client for Windows or QBO. So it's very like the Evernote model. It just won't matter what screen or device you pick up. You can access your QBO data from a native app. And so the desktop apps are kind of interesting because they really cache the data themselves, and they're almost like their own browser. So I ran into that team at our conference last week, and they were actually trying to push on me like, oh, you guys should require all developers that their apps work in this browser. I'm like, we have enough requirements right now for apps. Like maybe one day we will do that, but right now let's just show them this, and then if you guys may want to try your app in that browser. I thought it would be interesting because it's that browser has its own kind of QuickBooks navigation built in, and I thought it would be kind of cool, like if almost not really an activity feed, but kind of a status type thing where it would be cool if developers could plug into that one day. So it's kind of one of those like, let's bring them on, show you what's out there, and kind of you guys can give that team feedback, and it's pretty exciting to see that Evernote model kind of finally come to fruition for QuickBooks Online users. So I have that team lined up too. So I have about 7 guests lined up.
Sounds good. That sounds great. I have a bunch of
And
questions.
these will all get recorded to YouTube. And then hopefully, because with that SEO, then if anyone submits a sandbox question, it'll be stored up there now, for like with Vishal's video, and be searchable. I'm sorry, you had a question, Steph?
I have a number of questions.
Okay.
One, you mentioned the new apps.com search feature. You saw my email about how when you do a search, how the sort gets fouled up.
So I brought that up to the product manager for that, so he's aware of that. Also brought up to him the by default, when you hit the enter key, it doesn't kick off the search. It basically, the enter key defaults to the first app listed. So there's a little nuances with the search. The good thing about the search is it actually searches, which is really, really, like it's searching all the text on your app card except for the review. I think that's one of those debatable things, like should it search reviews or not, and I think right now we swayed towards the no. Yeah. But it actually is truly a search box now, which is really, really good. But it has a little, I think it has some usability issues, like you said. Like once you get your results, they're not sorted in any real, like, I think they're sorted by relevance. So if you type the word time, it's going to probably bring up the one that has the word time the most times. And so I think that's the, so right now it's flat out search, and raw search results, which is good, but.
Yeah, it's as you know, it put us below the fold, which doesn't make me happy because it's really hard getting people to write reviews. You know, it is a pain in the butt getting them to do it. And so anytime somebody user calls and says, "Hey, can Cricut do this? Can it do that?" and I'll say, "Tell you what, we'll do that if you'll go write a review." So we've scratched and clawed to get the reviews we have, and now instead of being on the top line when you search for CRM, we're on the 4th line, which puts us, you have to scroll down, which I don't like.
And then let me just see. I want to see just the portal. I just want to see what happens. Portal. Yeah, so you're number 1 if I type portal, so you're probably the only app card using the word portal.
Yeah.
I think you have the word report, so this will be interesting to see what happens. Whoops, see, there it goes. It shows the first app card.
I know, that's a pain. I agree.
Yeah, that's something they're aware of.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It seems like apps.com, it's like 3 steps forward, 1 step back. When we rolled it out in October, it's like, oh, now it's global, but it kind of took a step back. Now search is good at some level, but it's also kind of annoying at a level. So it just kind of ebbs and flows. Yeah. So I search for reports. You guys, you're way down at the bottom. I wonder if I search for B2B, because we actually have an app called B2B, and then you use it like at the beginning of your tagline. See how it results. Yeah. Oh, so if I type B2B, like you're the number 1 suggested app, and you're the number 1 result. That's interesting. Yeah. So it's really flat out raw search engine now.
Yeah.
It's just good and bad.
Yeah.
And then we'll tweak that. We got it out there at least.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm going to kill my video because you're getting very watery stuff, and I don't know if it's on my bandwidth, so I'm just going to kill my video.
I wonder if it's me. Maybe let me get rid of mine too. The Google AdWords is still an issue. I don't know. I mean, your guy says that he's followed up. That was more than a week ago. I asked him a few days ago what he had learned, and I haven't heard back from him about that. So I don't know why it's so hard to get that approved, and I don't know if there's anything you can do to kick somebody in the butt.
Yeah, it's like the guy that's supposed to be handling it's handling it, but for some reason he thinks it's resolved, and it's never been. It just doesn't want to get resolved. And I don't know if that's something on the Google side, something on our side, like why that communication channel seems to be breaking down. I don't know. Like I could reply to the chain and be like, hey, another week goes by and it still isn't working for Steph. I could kind of do that and see, but
Yeah.
I don't have much past what you already know, right?
I know.
I'll try to bring it up right up ladder again and just see if that helps.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'll on my end, I've already done this once. I'll do it again. I'll get onto the Google chat or something and say, look, Intuit keeps telling me that they've done this, and what the heck is going on? So let me do that on my end, and you do what you can on your end, and see if we can get it resolved. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. You're just
Okay.
really, really watery. I don't know if you're watery for everybody or if it's just me.
You sound great.
It's just you, David, because Stephanie sounds fine to me.
Okay, good.
Okay.
I'm having problems where
All right. Let me go make sure my kids aren't streaming. Hold on a second. I'll be right back.
Hey, Jack, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
On the SDK, with the SDK, if we update an invoice or sales order or credit memo, some transaction, if you do an update, do you have to write all the line items and custom fields each time if you're just updating like the invoice header?
No.
Okay. Okay, so in the request then for an update, there's a way to specify
It's called
whether
a sparse update.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, there's no streaming happening. Make sure it's not my phone downloading something in the background. No. So I don't know, but it's only you, Steph, that seems to be watery. So I'm very, very confused.
Well,
My video's okay too.
I've been losing connections about 3 or 4 times.
I lost it once, but
now Jack's watery too. So maybe we're having some bandwidth issues today.
I think it's Google.
Google side.
maybe.
Interesting.
Everybody sounds great to me.
I'll kill my camera too, and hopefully maybe it'll help everybody.
Yeah, but when
Matt, if you talk.
Hello.
Hi.
Am I watery too?
No.
This might be on my side that's watery. Let me stop the broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah, let me stop the broadcast, see if that helps.